Great win by our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, putting us at 9-5 for the season. We are on track to win 11 games, which will be our most wins since the 2000s. But before I get into my reactions, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. I am Ramy B, and as always, I post weekly Buccaneer reaction videos. If you see me looking over to my left, I have some stats up on a screen just so I'm accurate with my information. But typical 2020 Bucks game where we start out really flat. First half, we were playing horrible. I think we had only 60 yards of total offense. We were down 17-0 at halftime. Definitely not a good performance at all. The defense couldn't really stop the Falcons. The offense couldn't move the ball. We couldn't sustain drives. We couldn't convert on third downs. Then in the second half, something flipped. We balled out, 31-10 run, which ended up eventually winning the game 31-27. Now, I tweeted online that I don't care how we win or if it's a close game or if we suck in the first half, as long as we win. I feel like right now we just need to get into the playoffs, and once we do, then we'll figure out kind of from there what to do. But for some reason, there's something that clicks in the locker room at halftime that really gets this team going and gets the team really turning it around and start balling out. I don't know the game plan they come in or what's going on in the first half, or you feel like they could make those adjustments earlier. But I don't want to get into all that speculation because I don't know what the coaching staff does prior to the game and then throughout the game and into halftime. But our Bucks we had 416 total yards with 365 passing and 51 rushing. We figured the rushing stats would be low because Rojo was out. The Falcons had 369 total yards with 332 passing and 37 rushing. Typical Bucks fashion, teams can't run on us. We converted 40% on third downs, and we controlled the clock with a 31-minute advantage on the time of possession. They had about 28 minutes and change. Brady was 31 for 45, 390 and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, the first half was a horrible performance on the entire offense, Brady included. But in the second half, he really turned it around and definitely balled out and made up for all those mistakes and the lack of productivity in the first half. Leonard Fournette was 14 for 49, 2 touchdowns. The touchdowns were kind of goal line touchdowns. They weren't any big runs or anything. He did have some nice runs at the end of the game in order to milk some clock and essentially end the game. I think he had a 15-yard run after they punted, or after, I think he had that after they punted when he moved us in. I don't remember exactly at what, or maybe it was a 15-yard run when they had the turnover on downs at the end. Mike Evans, 6 for 110. I think now it's very obvious that when we feed Mike Evans and give him the ball, the offense and the entire team flows much smoother. He did get his 110 yards. He was at 669 before, so now he's at 779. He needs about 221 yards in the next 2 games to break that 1,000-yard record that Randy Moss and him currently share. AB was 5 for 93 and a touchdown with that beautiful 46-yarder. It's good to see that AB is being a little more productive. He still isn't the game changer that we're used to in Pittsburgh, but I think that's just because our offense is so diverse and we have so many weapons that we can't just force him the ball the same way we're not forcing Mike Evans to win 50-50 balls like we were in the past. Brait was 4 for 54 and Godwin 4 for 36 and 1 touchdown. Overall, the offense was very productive. Like I said, 416 total yards, a lot of it, majority of it, almost like 80% of it coming in the second half, of course. Now, on the defensive side, Matty Ice was 34 for 49, 356 and 3 touchdowns. Majority of that in the first half as well. When they came out and scored in the second half, that did push them over 300 yards. But after that, they were really a lot of 3-and-outs and not much going on there. Their running back Smith was 6 for 24, and that was the most productivity from any of their running backs. Calvin Ridley did shred us, 10 catches for 163 yards and 1 touchdown. It seemed like he was open in the middle of the field in the intermediate range. We couldn't cover him, and it was always Sean Murphy Bunting seemed to be on him a lot. And then I know when Carlton Davis went out with a groin injury, which will hurt us in the future if he's not back next week or ready for the playoffs. But we are playing Detroit, so we'll see. I don't know if they're playing, if they already played or they're playing now. But we'll see how they do right now because I know Matthew Stafford was hurt and then he decided to play anyways through his injury, so we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Ridley killed us. Russell Gage, 55 catches for 68 yards and 1 touchdown. Nobody else really produced anything, but they did have like 11 pass catchers catch the ball. So they're really spreading the ball out, and I think we did a good job defensively of switching it up and starting to gain a little bit more pressure. Devin White had our only sacks for the game, and it was 3 sacks, putting him now at 8 for the season, I want to say, if I remember correctly. But yeah, the defense turned it on when we needed. Brady is now 7-0 in his career against Atlanta, including that Super Bowl comeback. But I think overall, the team, is doing exactly what they've been doing, where they start out really slow, which was weird because in the first quarter of the season, we were outscoring opponents in the first quarter by a big margin, and then it just kind of fell off. Like I said, I don't care how we get into the playoffs as long as we get wins. I'd rather deal with an ugly win than a beautiful loss. But I do think that this is going to have to be figured out by the postseason. As of right now, we're still in the 6th seed. and still slated to play the Los Angeles Rams. The Arizona Cardinals are playing the Eagles. They are in the 7th seed. If they win, they'll still be a game behind us. And I don't know what happened to Minnesota versus Chicago. They're both 2 games behind us, with us owning the tiebreaker over Minnesota and the Bears owning the tiebreaker over us. We needed a tie from that game in order to clinch a playoff spot today, which we did not. Hopefully next week we can take care of business against the Lions and win the game. So we'll see what happens at that point. And then we play the Falcons again at home. But we're definitely on track. We can win 11 games, 11-5. The Saints play the Chiefs today, which I'm expecting them to lose, and they'll only be a game ahead of us and have the tiebreaker. If they do lose, they'll be 10-4, and we'll be 9-5. I saw some weird things online about, like, if the Saints lose out and we win out, we win the division, and they play Minnesota next week, and then they play the Panthers. They could lose to Minnesota. Minnesota's been hot, so who knows. And then if, like, the Packers lose 2 of 3, which they won this week, so they'd have to lose the next 2. And if the Seahawks lose 2 of 3 and, like, the Rams lose 2 of 3, we'd have the first overall seed. Just fun stuff to kind of talk about, but it's definitely not going to happen. And the division's definitely not going to happen either unless there's a total collapse from the Saints. But now Michael Thomas is out on injured reserve, so who knows what's going on with them. But like I said, it's a performance. It's good that we can beat the bad teams, even if it does require a comeback and like a turnaround shift in the second half. But we definitely need to figure out a way to start faster in the playoffs. Scoring 31 points should win you most games, but when you're in the playoffs against playoff caliber teams, you're probably not going to score 31 points in the second half, and if you do, you're probably not going to stop them from scoring, a touchdown like the Falcons. So we'll definitely see what goes on. Brady seems to be much more comfortable with the offense, and now like AB's getting involved and things like that. But I think the priority moving forward is getting Mike Evans involved early and just, feeding him the ball every time he's open. He's been getting some yards after catch, which isn't really his thing historically, but it's definitely showing that, if we do get him the ball, it opens up for everyone else, because I think with AB and Godwin and Gronk and all that and Scotty Miller, our most dangerous threat on offense is still Mike Evans, just because of his range and his pass catching abilities. But yeah, that's my full review. Thank you for tuning in, Bucs Nation. Comment down below what you thought of this performance, and yeah, let's go to 10-5 next week against the Lions. I don't remember if we're playing at home or on the road. I think we're at home, but I could be wrong. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. As always, make sure you click the subscribe button down below, and let's go Bucs, Buc Nation. Let's go. Let's keep stacking these W's and getting into the playoffs. You know what it is. Once you get in the playoffs, if you get hot at the right moment, you can make a run and take over and win the Super Bowl. So that's all we need, getting into the playoffs. I think we're going to see a different Gronk and different Brady, and it's definitely something that can happen. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in, and as always, I am out.
Our offense tough, our defense rough. Go Bucs, go Bucs. Ain't no other team stopping us. Go Bucs, go Bucs.